everybody. I hope you can all hear me. So today we're joined, I'm Richard Barry, I'm Director of International Development with National College of Ireland, and I'm joined by Aritra Gasal, who's our representative in India. He's in Delhi at the moment, and I'm sure many of you have met him. Also, we're waiting on Dr. Gonzalez Velez, who heads up our Cloud Competency Centre, to join us. We're probably going to spend about maybe 20 to 30 minutes just talking. This is our first Google Hangout, so bear with us as we're trying to figure it all out as we go along. One of the things that you'll notice is on the right-hand side of your screen, so kind of over that way, you'll see a Q&A section. So if you move your mouse to the left-hand side of your screen, you can press on the Q&A button, and then you can type questions. So again, any questions that you have, let us know, and we'll happily try and answer them for you. I suppose just to start off, what I'd like to do is to just spend a little bit of time just going through some of the points we talk about in relation to NCI. So what I'd just like to do is to just flick through this presentation, and hopefully it will give you a flavour of some of the things maybe that you don't know about the college. So this is a short video about Ireland.
Thousands of international students choose Ireland as the location in which to further their education. It's not hard to understand why. In Ireland, education is a pleasure. Living and studying in Ireland is an enjoyable, unforgettable experience. Ireland is a safe and friendly country. We are the warmest, friendliest people in the world. Ireland is an educated, English-speaking country in Europe, with close cultural, economic, and educational ties to the English-speaking world, including the UK, our nearest neighbour, and the USA. Which is why so many leading global companies have chosen Ireland as the best location for the European headquarters. Ireland offers a wide educational curriculum from which to choose. From creative technologies to centres of scientific and technological excellence to renowned humanities faculties. Qualifications gained in Ireland have the highest international recognition. Ireland produces highly employable graduates, many of whom are global leaders, heads of some of the world's largest corporations. Once here, international students experience a learning environment that is distinctly supportive, where individual access to academic leaders and tutors is commonplace, where experienced advisors help international students by easing their path of integration into Irish educational and social life, and where that famous Irish hospitality makes you feel right at home. That's why Ireland is the education destination of choice for so many international students. Ireland's creative and innovative culture makes Ireland an inspiring place to study, a rich resource for the most inquisitive and curious scholars. In Ireland, we cater for the most discerning international students, with high standards of student accommodation both on and off campus, great student sports and social facilities, and everywhere there's that warm, easy Irish way of life. The physical landscape of Ireland is breathtaking. The countryside and the coast, so beautiful, it pulls you outdoors. It forms a lush green hinterland for international students to explore, to enjoy, or simply to observe. Excellent intercity connections by road, rail, and air make it easy and pleasant to explore the entire country, from the relaxation of walking to the thrill of surfing on the crest of the highest. It's all here. Ireland. Education is in our DNA. The diversity of educational choices, vast. The culture, unique. And the opportunities, immense. Education in Ireland. The choice is yours.
Okay, so just in Ireland, it's a total population of about 4.6 million. In Dublin is about 1.5 million. So it's a small city. Um, it's vibrant, it's cosmopolitan, it's international, and also importantly for NCI, it's the home of many multinational companies. Over the last 20, 25 years, the Irish government has spent a lot of time bringing in international businesses from three main sectors. One is financial services, two is pharmaceutical medical devices, so the whole healthcare area, and the final bit is tech companies. So one of the interesting facts about Dublin is that it's the home of 8 of the world's top 10 ICT companies, along with 8 of the top 10 pharmaceutical companies. It's the home of companies like, or the European home of companies like Facebook, PayPal, LinkedIn, Google, and Twitter. They all have their European, Middle East, and North African headquarters in Dublin. Over the last few years, Ireland's attracted more US foreign direct investment, so investment into Ireland from the US than Brazil, Russia, India, and China combined. So it's a major spot for international businesses to locate. Some of the key advantages: it's the 9th ranked world in the whole world in regards to education systems. Our course fees, and this is as a country, our course fees are far more competitive than countries like UK, Australia, and Canada. And in particular around cloud competency, it's considered to be the Silicon Valley of Europe. So just a little bit about NCI. We established in 1947. Again, it's located in the heart of two areas. Number one is the International Financial Services Centre. So again, there's an area which I'll show you on a map shortly, is that there's an area in Dublin called the IFSC, and that's home of many of the top either banks, insurance companies, or consultancy firms. But also we're about a 3-minute, 5-minute walk max away from the likes of Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, Twitter, Accenture, so the big tech companies that are flocking to Dublin. On top of that, we're located very close to those startup companies as well. We've got about 4,500 students, half of which are full-time, half of which are part-time. And again, fairly much an even split between business and computing courses. So this was the map that I was talking about. You'll see NCI's campus there in the center of it. The yellow area that you're looking at is the financial services area. So you'll see companies that you'll know like JP Morgan, KPMG, Citibank, BNY Mellon. Up the top right is Deutsche Bank. And then with regards to tech companies is where it really becomes interesting. So just across the river, so where we are is called Dublin 1. It's the center, and then Dublin 2 is the far side of the river. So again, from where we are to the furthest part of that red circle is just a 5-minute walk, and you'll see companies like Accenture, Twitter, Pioneer Investments, Yahoo is just outside of it. So Yahoo is about a 6-minute walk, but it's 2 minutes by train. And because of that, NCI is a prime location to, I suppose, number one, engage with these companies, and number two, to help those companies build their workforce. One of the biggest challenges in that Dublin has with regards to attracting these companies in is that it's difficult for these companies to get the right number of staff, get the right staff, and get the right levels of staff. So there's a figure floating around that in 2013, about 20% of tech jobs weren't filled. And because of that, we've spent a lot of time engaging with industry. So our courses are developed with industry in mind. So we talk to the likes of Facebook, Microsoft, IBM to try and understand what do they want from graduates, what skills, what technical skills, what work practices they want. And then we work backwards to develop courses around that. And because of that, it has resulted in us being very well regarded with these companies. which then in turn leads to the fact that we're #1 for jobs. So in Ireland, we're ranked #1 for jobs for the last 4 years. This map that you're looking at here, so the purple area that you're just looking at and the red dot in the middle of it is NCI's campus. The purple area is the financial services area. You'll see across the river in kind of that orange area and a little bit down from it is the tech area, so Silicon Docks as it's called. The big red line going around the map is an area that the Irish government now own most of the land there. So they recently announced that between now and 2022, they're going to create 10,000 new jobs in this area, and mainly within both tech and financial services. The Irish government have realised that they've got a very strong offering for tech companies. And because of that, they're now focusing more and more on it, and they're creating tech areas, and there are a lot of tax breaks and for companies coming in from tech, from the tech industry. But also they're making it easier to open up businesses. They're giving them more grants for research and development. So because of this huge push in Ireland to create these 10,000 new jobs, in particular in NCI's neighbourhood, it's meant that there's a huge onus on us to, #1, bring in more talented students, which is what we're very keen to do, but also to continue to develop courses and develop courses that are of interest to the companies that are coming in. So cloud computing and data analytics are probably the 2 key programs that these companies are looking for. Also, they're looking at people who understand financial technology or fintech. So from September 2016, we'll also have a master's in fintech, and that's all around trying to make sure that we have the right staff and going into these companies. Most of you that are online, I think, have already applied for courses, so you'll know what courses we offer. Again, in particular, cloud computing and data analytics are by 2 of the most popular. There is some pathways and higher diplomas for people that don't come from a tech or a mathematical background to join a higher diploma for a year and then progress on to a postgraduate master's. Course fees, you will know. IELTS requirements for 2 cloud courses will be 6.0 in IELTS, or a TOEFL of 89 to 98, which I'm sure most of you know. So finally, just a little bit more about the student services that you can get in NCI. So there's a lot, we appreciate that moving to a strange country and settling in can be a challenge. Some students do it very easily, and they have some family and they have some friends here, but some don't. So what we try and do is make sure that we provide all the services that an international student would want before coming to Ireland. And that's things like helping with accommodation. We provide a pickup service from the airport and drop you to wherever you're staying. So some students will choose to stay in a hostel for a little while before finding a full-time permanent accommodation. Some will stay in our student accommodation on campus where there's a waiting list at the moment, and some might stay with family or friends. On top of that, we provide subsidised medical service for full-time international students. There's learning support, which will help with things like English language, academic writing, time management, and then some personal services as well, financial advice. And then we've got 2 peer mentors who are existing students, but will also be there to support you if you come to NCI. Outside of that, one of the key parts of your international experience would be also away from your studies. So with your visa, you're allowed to work 20 hours a week. Our cloud competency courses are quite tough. So a lot of students will tend, or not a lot, but a good number of students will tend not to work because the courses are quite intense. But there is some time to enjoy yourself, and a lot of students get involved in our very active students union. Our International Friendship Society organise weekly activities around Dublin. There's a large number of clubs and societies. So, again, depending on, you might either want to do something that you've already experienced, or else maybe try something new. And finally, as part of your student fees, you get free membership to our state-of-the-art gym, which is located on our campus. One of the key strengths of NCI is our rankings when it comes to graduate employment. So for the last 4 years, 2011, 12, 13 and 14, we've been the #1 ranked college for when it comes to graduate employment. 96% of our students get jobs within 6 months of graduation from NCI. And I suppose a lot of students will ask, well, how is it done? What way does it work? And really it comes down to yourselves. I mean, what I would always say to students is that the better you perform in your class, the better chance you have of getting a job. So companies are looking for people with first-class masters. If you get a first-class master's, your ability to get a job is significantly improved. You could have the best CV and give the best interview, but if you're just scraping through on your master's, companies won't want to employ you. So, some of what we do, so there is a lot of career service there. There's some one-to-one mentoring around your CV. There's a lot of classes that are available to international students. Work placements have happened with companies like Microsoft, O2, Intel and Google. Because our courses are developed with employers, it's allowed us to be better at then supplying staff to those employers. Where possible, we bring in lecturers with real world experience, and we get lecturers from around the world. So there's some recruiting going on at the moment, and we're looking for lecturers that come with an international experience or come with a commercial experience. We pride ourselves on having small class sizes, and that allows us to give individual attention to students, which means that the quality of support to the students and their ability to perform is significantly improved. And finally, there's a dedicated careers team which helps students to prepare for things like job interviews and writing your CVs, and in particular doing things like LinkedIn and kind of looking for gaps in your CV that might be able to be filled with, say, voluntary work or part-time work experience. With regards to visas, again, many of you might already know this. So there's you can get a 1-year visa from the Irish government, and that could be extended under certain circumstances. So if you have to repeat, you can extend it for a short period of time. The most important bit about that visa process is that you need to have 80% attendance. If you don't have 80% attendance, it's a lot harder, if not impossible, to get additional visas or to get extensions because of having to do resits. With the visa, you're allowed to work 20 hours per week while you're studying and 40 hours per week when you're not studying, which is normally around December and then during the summer holidays. You get an automatic 1-year stay-back visa, and during that time you can work full-time or part-time. And then there's a 3-year permanent visa, which is dependent on the role that you get, your full-time role and your industry. But kind of the general guide is that if you're earning about 30,000 euros a year for a skilled role, and the Irish government have some specific requirements around jobs that they're trying to attract into Ireland. And most of those are around tech, programming, business consultancy, financial services. So in particular in tech, the Irish government need to attract graduates to work for many of the companies that are coming in. So to earn over 30, you need to earn over 30,000 a year then to apply for your 3-year permanent visa. Just by way of background, the minimum wage in Ireland is about €8.50. So somebody on minimum wage will be earning about 20,000 euros a year, maybe a small bit less. So that jump to 30,000 euros a year isn't as significant as it might look. from the start. So finally, just to wrap up, reasons to choose NCI. So we just did a survey of international students, and 90% of the students rated their experience as good or very good. We're government funded, not for profit, but we work to industry standards. So to a large extent, you're getting to international university standards. You're getting international university education, but you're not paying university and international prices for it. #1 ranked in Ireland for graduate jobs. Our location is a key strength and something that you should definitely consider in your choice. So because we're located in the heart of the Financial Services Centre and the small walk from Silicon Docks, it's a key strength and a key benefit of NCI. Our close industry links, so courses are developed with industry and for industry. So companies like Microsoft will sit on our annual review of courses. So when we're looking at our courses on a regular basis, we'll bring in companies like Microsoft to assess them, and they will give us suggestions about how to improve them. And finally, small class sizes and lots of student support. So that's kind of about it. I might just ask Aritra, who's joined us from India, just around, say, some of the things around timelines. So at the moment, we're in the middle of June. How much time do students have to get applications in and prepare?
For visas?
Well, I think for visas and also their college applications. I know it's some of the questions that we're getting at the moment from people.
Yes, the last date for applications, we have till the 15th of August, but to be honest with you, by 15th of July, all applications should be done, and it needs to be at least students need to give or consider a 3 to 4 weeks of time period for the visas, because I can see some of them who are watching this the Hangout program. Some of them have already applied for their visas. Some of them are going to apply. So for all of you, I think give it at least 4 weeks. The official time period is 6 to 8 weeks, but at least give 4 to 6 weeks for the visa office, because now you have biometrics as well introduced. Irish visa is not very difficult, but it's a very lengthy process. So there will be a lot of paperwork, and so please apply, pay your deposits, get your scholarship, be prepared for the intake, because we want every one of you to be in Ireland, in Dublin by the 1st of September. And if you can come in earlier, like 31st of August or something, but 1st of September is, we would like everyone, because the courses will start from 14th of September, Monday, and we want, there will be orientation sessions for all of you. So it is very important to join the orientation sessions. It is very important to see the city that you are going to live for at least 2 years. Make sure where the library is, where the student services are, the medical boards are, because I can share all this information because I have been an international student myself, and it is very difficult if you come in around 12th or 13th and you just straight away go into the classroom. So please apply as soon as possible for your visas and be prepared to come to Ireland by 1st of September. In addition to that, we will also be holding pre-departure briefings in cities that you're respective in. I can see some of you are from Delhi, some of you are from Chennai, Mumbai. In each and every city, the bigger cities in India, we will hold a pre-departure briefing. And in addition to that, if someone is not physically able to attend the pre-departure briefings, we will have Google Hangouts like what we are doing right now today as pre-departure briefings. Come from July, August, and a late July, August time, we will have those as well. So if you can't attend one of the physical pre-departures, please try and attend the virtual ones, because these in these sessions, important information about your visas, about your do's and don'ts in Ireland, about the GNIB card, what kind of things to pack, everything will be shared with all of you. How much money to carry, all these things um, will be discussed in all these sessions. So whoever is watching, and I'm sure that you will be having friends that that you are talking to. Please convey this message about applying early and sorting things early as well. Right. Uh,
Great. I mean, the other thing that I think some students are asking about at the moment is scholarships.
yeah.
So we have some scholarships available, in particular on cloud and data analytics. It would be good just to get an update on what the time frame is, how do they avail of them, how much are they, and when do they run out in particular? Because I know we're kind of running to the end of
Yeah.
our scholarship fund in particular in India.
Yeah, actually, the original one was you had to pay within 2 weeks of your offer letter. But then we saw, some students and some applicants were struggling with that 2 week time frame or 2 week window. So we have increased the deadline till the 30th of June, which is the hard deadline for each and every student. And so that's there is a scholarship of 1,500 euros, which is not bad in keeping in consideration the fees that we charge for international students. So there is a 1,500 euros of scholarship that each and every one of you who are attending the masters in cloud computing and masters in data analytics can avail this. And in the process of applying the scholarship, you need to make a deposit payment of 1,000 euros. That kind of signifies that you are going to come to NCI, and you are cementing your position to NCI, because as Richard mentioned, that the class sizes are small, and India being one of the destinations, we are having these hangout sessions in China, in Brazil, in other countries as well. So we will stop as soon as we think that we have filled our class sizes, because we will not have 150 plus class sizes. uh, so by the 30th of June, all our international scholarships runs out. So whoever is watching this video and watching this session with us, please make sure that you have paid by the 30th of June. I know there are some agents who are who are telling that NCI might give another week's extension and stuff like that. But please don't go into that kind of a trap. When we are saying the 30th of June is the last date, please keep in mind 30th of June will be the last date for you to avail the scholarship. So that's pretty much about the scholarships, Richard.
Great, thanks. So then we have a question from Vipul, which is easier as a fresher to get jobs in either cloud computing or data analytics?
Where is Horacio? Horacio should answer this.
I think he's viewing, but I just sent him an email to try and get him online as a participant. But I think you have some kind of, I suppose, good evidence of students who've got jobs and where they are now.
Yeah. So I think this is a question that I have heard now multiple times actually. But the thing is, both the courses have some linkages to each other, but they are not similar. The kind of jobs that you will be having are not similar, and there is not a strict yes or no here, that if you are a fresher you do data analytics, if you're not a fresher you do cloud computing, because I have seen, and we have seen actually, that even freshers in cloud computing have got jobs. Experienced people have struggled in cloud computing. So it is a mix and match about how good you do in your class. um, how good you actually you are in your classroom, and you are accessing the resources that are shared with you. And the second thing is, don't try too hard about getting a job, because what I've seen with a lot of Indian students is, once we go into the classroom, we straight away start applying for jobs. You haven't yet finished your course, so take a take your course very seriously, take your coursework very seriously. If you do well in your coursework, if you do well in your industry dissertation, there are chances of you getting a good job. So I won't say that a fresher will get a job quickly in data analytics, and he or she will not get it in cloud computing. We have seen freshers getting jobs in cloud computing, freshers getting jobs in data analytics. One thing I can be, one thing I can tell you that uh, I understand that there is a lot of investment that you are making in regarding to studying and everything, but don't make jobs or getting a job the primary reason to come to NCI. Though we are very good at jobs and everything, we have shared already, and we will take care of your careers. But concentrate on what you're here for. You're here for a good world class education. Concentrate on your studying. Be Listen to the career services, whatever they say, do it that way. Because what I see is, don't start applying with your CV, with your Indian CV straight away as you come here. Because in India the things are different. In India there are 25 million plus jobs. In Ireland there aren't. So uh, as soon as you start sending your CVs to different companies, you're actually closing doors to different companies. So prepare your CV first, your LinkedIn profile, your covering letter first, and then um, go for your jobs and everything. So I think there is no straight cut answer about you if you are a student, for a fresher in data analytics or cloud computing. I think Horacio is with us, and he'll take it forward from here. How to do good in your studies, and how to then prepare for your career. So over to you, Horacio.
Yeah, there is a presentation there.
Hey, we're trying to get a presentation up, but while we're
Yeah, I can describe that because it's a very valid question, people. Hi, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon for Nepal, India, and the Indian subcontinent. I am the head of the Cloud Competency Center, and as you may know, all programs in cloud computing, data analytics, and the higher diplomas associated with them fall under my remit. I'm pretty much focused on postgrad education. And a clear question is how successful a person can be. I've been working in different shapes of forms with Indian engineers for a long time, Indian, Nepalese, Bengalese, and other Bangladeshi talent for a long time, over 20 years. And I know there are two things. The best engineers are always from that side of the world, and you should never challenge them to eat spicy food. So two things I have learned over the course of the years. And a very important part of that is that our top students here at the Cloud Competency Center are Indian. And no matter they can be highly experienced, 5 to even 10 years of experience, or they can be freshers. I can give you an example. We had a student, very clever student. He started in 2012, September 2012. Suresh Boop is his name. He was a fresher out of university. Immediately after that, he was the top of the class, of course, in 2012, among the top 3 students in his class. And he developed a very interesting dissertation on collocation of virtual machines. He deployed that to the point that he wrote an article on that. And that article was presented in a conference in Italy. He even worked for us, paid by the European Commission here at NCI. So strictly speaking, the European Commission paid him to work, to go and present his research. He stayed with us for 6 months, and now he's working for a very interesting company called Currency Fair. It's a local high-performance startup here in Dublin as a cloud engineer. So that's the story of a fresher, top of his class, working for that. So it is up to the people rather than up to what you have. What is important is the opportunities there, but it's very, very important, as Richard was saying, to put a special emphasis in your course. A common mistake, and I'm going to be blunt with you, of some of the students is they land, they are just not even unpacking their suitcases, and they are sending their CVs to employers. And because they think they are going to be spamming employers, they are going to get a job. That could be farther from the truth. So very important, guys, you have to be top of your class, as you said, the toppers. You have to be one of the toppers, and if you are one, I'm sure you will not have any issues. Last year, students run an informal competition about who will get the most number or the highest number of offers. The winner was a girl who got 10 job offers. She, at the end, couldn't go to all the interviews because she was already getting a job and all that. She's now a cloud engineer with a major American company here in the south of Ireland. So that's the sort of opportunities all around. So I don't know if we are going to be looking at the presentation, but if not, there is. I don't know if there is any other question.
I think from a student's point of view, it's always good to understand which students do well, both in data analytics and cloud. Is there a particular type, or what separates the good students from the bad students? Is it work? Is it previous knowledge? Is it?
Yeah, there are three characteristics that are important for the students. I think it's work, work, and work. In other words, if you think that you are not performing well, probably you are not, and you have to study twice as much as you are doing. On a consistent basis, students who are successful are those who develop their codes, test their codes, work a lot, and stay with us here 10 to 12 hours. As you may know, I travel quite often to India, and I'm very familiar with the educational system. And I know many universities in India that they open a gate at 8 o'clock in the morning, they close it, and at 5 or 6 o'clock, they open it again for students to go. So you, to a certain extent, are forced to stay here. In NCI, it's not like this. We have 15 contact hours per week, give or take, but you're expected to put at least twice as much the effort. So that means 45 to 50 hours every week. So that accounts for 8 to 10, depending on the day, every day. So you can see the successful students always being here 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, leaving 7, 8. Students from cloud computing and data analytics are pampered. They even have a small kitchenette for them. They are the only cohorts that have a certain additional benefits. They have a special room. They have access to the library, any student, but in particular cloud computing students. We have a dedicated data center, all sorts of facilities for you to develop your potential and succeed through education. So that's pretty much it. So it's that idea.
Great. So just for anyone who's just joined us, there's a Q&A button on the left-hand side of your screen. So it'll be that side. And then you can type questions in on the right-hand side of your screen, which is that way. So we have a question coming in. How will NCI help me in my 3-semester research, as I'm very keen in developing research skills and do not have any prior experience of it, and or how to do it?
That's a very good question. Thank you for asking that one. That's a very typical question that I'm glad it's been asked, because many of us, when we complete a first degree, don't understand that going into postgrad education implies always research, implies going into unknowns, you're going to become a master of a certain part of discipline, and therefore you have to carry out a successful scientific process. The typical way of doing that is you get a hypothesis, you do lots of reading, you think you know what is unknown, and then you carry out experiments, and then you compare your findings against your hypothesis, and you prove or disprove the hypothesis. Typically, you can only prove the known, okay? So in NCI, specifically in cloud computing and data analytics, from day one, you will always be carrying out research. You will be expected to attend a lecture, then do a lab, then complete additional exercises, and do reading, independent study. That means all the learning outcomes of the programs, all the objectives of the programs are related to from basic modules such as cloud architecture. You read papers, you complete exercises, you have utility computing as well, very much oriented, but there are even more specific modules such as research in computing or research methods. Both of them are available in cloud computing and data analytics, which are only focused on developing research skills. That means that idea of the hypothesis, experiments, proving or disproving via results, it's there. So, and you have to write at the end dissertation type of report. It's called a research project based on what you've done. And typically those projects, those dissertations or research reports are converted for the top students into conference papers. So that means you have a perfect way of differentiating yourself after completing a master. Not only your parchment, your diploma, but also if you're interested in research, you have an international article that says, I am one of those who carry out research in a tiny bit of the field, but I know much more than anyone else probably in the world.
So a student who's maybe good technically, but doesn't have the track record of doing that research, what sort of support is given to them to kind of bridge that gap between, I suppose, where they're good technically, maybe good at programming or good at understanding numbers, but haven't produced a paper before?
None of us, I mean, me included, no one normally produces a paper at undergrad level. So the idea is you learn by understanding that first you have to carry out background research, meaning reading papers, understanding how to find different sources, putting together a background literature review, and then identifying what hasn't been done. Perhaps I always do a very silly example, right? Let's assume that you're interested in preparing a new way of doing pilau rice, okay? So you come up with this idea that there have been many methods to do it boiled, and some of them imply frying, but your new method is going to imply 2 minutes boiling, then you fry, and then you boil it, and add certain condiments every 2 minutes. Why that is, and your hypothesis is, can this new method of preparing pilau rice improve the efficiency of cooking in terms of energy? And that's the hypothesis. So your experiments will be, of course, trying different possibilities of boiling first, then frying, then adding the condiments, and potentially, if it's just efficiency of energy, you measure how much gas or electricity you consume. You can also do a qualitative part. You can say, oh, the taste is better. So you have to get some subject, people, tasting the rice and check, and then you write a report. Clearly, this is a very simplistic approach, but in technical terms, you can always find someone hasn't done or has done differently, and then do it that. That's the sort of skills. We teach that to students to find that. But very important, the onus is on the students to find what they are interested in. And that's very important because, after all, when someone hires you, there is an employer. An employer is not going to hire you for something that it's already solved. If it's solved, they don't hire you. I don't have to hire Richard here for 50,000 euros per year just to solve something that we know. I mean, he was hired to get additional solutions to open problems. So that's it.
Okay. And I think, I mean, another interesting thing, and it's a question that we sometimes come across, is that international students have lots of options, both in terms of what country they go to, and even if, you know, within the country, what courses they do. So I suppose in making that decision, why would cloud and data analytics stand out?
By far, NCI is the biggest provider of data analytics courses in Ireland. Our programs are benchmarked with the best in the world. We recently visited our International Advisory Board, which is composed of 3 universities in the US, California, Berkeley, UC Berkeley, Stanford, and Cornell. As you may know, the Cal Berkeley and Stanford are the top computer science departments in the world. Specifically, when we met up with Michael Franklin, the head of computer science at Berkeley, he was telling us about the new trends. We were learning a lot. We were benchmarking our programs, and believe me, what we are delivering today at NCI, it's not much different what they are doing there. At least we have a very focused program. Also, NCI, we are very privileged to be in the center, as you were describing, Richard, of many other companies that are doing cloud computing. So the center benefits from that. And also, just half an hour driving here south of where we are, we have major data centers, such as the Microsoft data centers, Amazon data centers, IBM data centers, and research centers, which are billions of dollars, billions of euros of investment in infrastructure. So we are there. So in that respect, cloud computing and our programs benefits from there, from these links to industry, from the position, and also data analytics. And on top of that, we carry out research which is aligned with top in the world. We recently received funding from the European Commission through Horizon 2020, their research program, in 2 modalities, two research projects called Kronos and Chipset, which enable us for the next 4 years to be working with the top institutions in Europe, Cambridge, Edinburgh, Imperial, Düsseldorf, Frankfurt, Torino, Pisa, and I can go on, just doing data analytics and cloud computing and high performance computing. So in that respect, it is a totally different institution. We are very blessed to be small enough to make a difference in Ireland, to know and just talk to everyone here. You can just walk into the office of many of the academics here. There is almost an open door policy, a general open door policy, but big enough to make impact in the world. So that's a very
that's interesting, because it leads to our next question. How much would teachers guide in research?
We don't guide, we just provide advice. It's ownership on the students. It's in the words of Kennedy, don't ask us what I can do for you, but what you can do for us. It's ownership of that. It's changing the dynamics in education. You come to Ireland, you come to NCI not to receive advice. It's to learn how to become independent, how to be an independent employee, entrepreneur, researcher. You want to start a career. And from that perspective, we can provide advice. We provide advice, we know. But many of the problems that you encounter in life will not have an immediate solution. If the solution is in page 35 of the manual, they don't need you. In that respect, we provide advice, but the students are always better than the teachers here. So that we're very proud of that.
Great. Then we have a question coming in. Could you briefly describe the differences on the actual duties between the professions of cloud computing and data analytics? What would be the career opportunities on each?
I will start with the simple one. The career opportunities will be endless on both of them. We have graduates that have working very well on both data analytics and cloud computing, but clearly there is a difference. While data analytics deals with algorithms and techniques to analyze large or even small sets of data with different parameters. Cloud computing provides the infrastructure or the APIs, the application programming interfaces, to deal with services. So it's totally different the ways you work. While cloud computing is a much more technical discipline, potentially if you're specializing in infrastructure, you will know about Linux and commands and installations and kernels and virtual machines and deployment and automatic instantiation. Or if you're going into software development, you will know about APIs, deployment, Chef, Puppet, how to use Ruby on Rails and expose services and consume Amazon EC2, elastic computing, or any kind of S3 storage. The data analytics guy will be trying to find patterns on large data sets. I don't know, a common example. Let's assume that you have the problem of delivering the next color for the Tata Nano. So you're going to be in charge of deciding the next color of the Tata Nano for 2016. How do you know? How do you go about that? You have to know it's going to be launched in November 2015, and whatever decision you make will imply an additional cost of 1 billion rupees. Okay, so from that perspective, you have to know what is the market size. Is it 1 billion people? Is it 100 million? What is the census? What are the different strata of economics? What is the power? What were the sales last year? What is the most common? What are the implications in the consumption? Who is buying? Women, men? All that, it's how do you find those patterns? And when you have 1.2 billion people, you have to analyze the census data. You have to analyze sales of Tata Motors for the past 10 years. You have to analyze marketing. You have to analyze sentiment. So all that, so it's a totally different set of skills, while cloud computing is about the technical side and dealing with machines and dealing with interfaces. The side of data analytics is dealing with data, as obvious as it is, but trying to find patterns of consumption, trying to find patterns of behavior or of any other in data. So they are totally different skills, and certainly the applications, but both of them are highly sought in today's world.
Great, that's perfect. So I think just moving back to you, Aritra, I think it would just be good before we wrap up just to see, you know, if a student is either thinking about making an offer or has an offer, or sorry, thinking about making an application or has an offer and is undecided what to do or what the next steps are, what can they do? Can they move their process along?
So if one student has already applied to NCI, and you know he or she is not unsure about the choices, then the best way is talk to me, and because I'm not going to give you an NCI point of view rather than giving you a more career counseling point of view. And I think there are three things which is very important, that once you choose your country, if you've chosen Ireland as your country, and you've chosen, you want to do something in computer science, then choose an institute which is focused in computer science. I'm not saying that we are as highly ranked as Trinity or UCD, but if today only I found out that Trinity has put in their own website that data analytics, they are taking some help from NCI in their data analytics program. Now I'm not sure about the truth of the matter, but so I think choose an institution which is more focused in computer science, because the students that we are now talking to, I think all of you are for computer science, and so choose an institution that is more focused. And the second part is choose an institution which will give you more returns on your investment, which is very important because you are investing not only your money but your opportunities back in India. Some of you are working, they're leaving your jobs, your very good cushy corporate careers, your families. So I think that is very important that you choose an institution, which has the most return on investment. Now, one, our tuition fees are less. Second, you get world-class, professors teaching in both of the courses. Third, all your, all your corporations that everyone talks about Ireland are 5 minute in distance between each other. We are in the same campus. So we have the industry focus that a lot of other universities will lack. And fourth, there is something good that we are doing in the careers. I'm not guaranteeing a job to everybody of you, but we're definitely doing something right in our career section. And that's why we are receiving this award for best for jobs or best for careers. So if you now put all these things in your head that, not too much of investment, world-class faculty, infrastructure world-class, career, industry focus, and a very good career services. You have your ROI back calculated. See, I'm from economics and I only understand numbers, so I always calculate through numbers. So I think, and you are also from computer science, you will also know what numbers are. So I think that should be your key, a message that you should take back from this session. That what next? Which university or college? Because sometimes I hear from Indian students that Aritra, yours is a college and not an university. Why should I not go to UL or UCD and all these other universities? I think we operate to university standards, but at the same time, look at Amazon. Okay, just to give an example, Amazon Web Services, and I've shared this news with all of you, has chosen NCI as their education partner and not others. So they are the leaders in their space pretty much. Alibaba and Amazon will be the two leaders pretty much. So they will think, much more than what we are thinking as academicians or students. So I think that way, you have to make your choice very, very focused choice. And in these two courses, we are definitely the leaders in Ireland, and we are one of the better schools in the world right now for cloud computing and data analytics. So from now on, I have seen most of you have received offers, and so pay your deposits, secure your admissions, and because I fight with them a lot. I fight with Richard. I fight with the other internationals, my colleagues in Ireland, to to extend the deadlines all the time. But after 30th of June, it will be very difficult for me. So think that, and what else? Best of luck, pretty much.
Just a comment on that, guys. Big disclaimer: I'm Mexican, so I come from the land of mañana. But I also enjoy a lot going into India and going to the market. That you go, you pay, you see something, and you say, "How much is it?" And the guy in the shop says, "Oh, 1,000 rupees." And then you go, "No, I only have 200." And then he comes back and says, "No less than 800." And then I go at 400. And okay, everything is about haggling, or as you say, bargaining. But in life, it's not like that. When we say 30th of June means 30th of June, not 29 or 1st of July. I have many students that the first time you see a deadline, they say, "Oh, the deadline is 12 o'clock, 1st of September. Could it be 5 o'clock?" And no, it's 12, 5 hours before. So when we say the deadline is the deadline, please make sure that is. I'm going to take a question from people. I can only assume, people, that you haven't taken the interview. We interview all the students that go into the program on MSc Cloud Computing. We are successful because we only take the best. And that implies that we receive around 250 applications. we typically take no more than 25 students per cohort. So from that perspective, everyone who gets accepted has a good knowledge of programming. So programming is important. In which language, you name it. It can be procedural, it can be functional, it can be logic. So that means it can be C, C++, Java, PL1, Modula, Pascal, COBOL, Fortran, Haskell, and I can go on for the rest of the day. Okay, so it's about programming. If you can do parallel programming, that will be a plus. And of course, cloud computing is about infrastructure and development, but just taking your point of infrastructure, if it's just about infrastructure and installing, can you imagine, I can only imagine an engineer trying to install 2,000 servers by hand. Can you imagine trying to install 2,000 times the same operating system instead of automating the task using Chef, Puppet, and a number of cookbooks? That will be the standard. You have to program, you have to know Python, you have to know AWK, you have to know Linux. So that's a long answer to yes, you have to know programming. Yes, you have to know structured programming, structured sequential programming, possibly in your C, C++, or Java, but really knowing, I mean, understanding what multiple inheritance means and how to deploy it and how to create interfaces that can do multiple inheritance in C++ as an example, okay? Not telling us, oh, I think I saw that once about 5 years, it's a long time. I did programming the first time nearly 30 years ago, so I'm sure you understand what we're talking about here, okay?
Hey guys, I think if there's no other questions, I think we'll wrap it up. I think
there is another one. The technical field, I make a strong. In what other technical fields should I make strong before? You better know about operating systems, as in proper Linux type of operating systems. Okay.
Perfect. Okay, I think just thank everybody for joining us today. Just to re-emphasize what Aretha was saying is that, you know, this year we ran out of, I mean, our courses across the board, but in particular in the Cloud Competency Centre has proved very popular. So number one, places are now quite limited. Because of that, scholarship has run out and we had to go back to our governing body here and our president to get a little bit more scholarship, but it's not a sales tool, it's not an idle promise. On the 30th of June, the scholarship will run out. I mean, our courses are still competitively priced, but certainly if you want to avail of the scholarship amounts, definitely come in before the end of the month. One of the things that we can guarantee you in all of our courses is that we don't offer big scholarships to some students. We're very fair and we're very consistent. We don't let some students pay for other students who pay a lot less. There's a consistency. So yes, the scholarship is in place, but the lowest a student will pay is 10,000 euros. The maximum a student will pay is 11,500. So we're very clear about that, and we want to make sure that when students come in, they have a really good experience, and they're not sitting with people who paid, you know, nothing or half price or fees like that. I think if there's any other follow-up questions, feel free to email either Horacio, myself, or Aretha. I think most of you will have spoken to Aretha or other members of the international team. If you have questions for Horacio, come through us and we'll pass them along, and he'll quite happily help you.
Yeah.
So again, thanks a million for joining, and look forward to seeing you in Dublin soon.